Hey everyone! Welcome back to a new video. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called You Did Not Warn Him Enough. We were implementing a new robot cell function for one particular station to improve a model changeover. Previously, changing part models for that station alone required several technicians and engineers to be working on it for about half an hour or so. Changing over the entire production line pretty much requires at least half a day of downtime. The programming update would have the robotic arms and transfer mechanisms perform the changeover themselves. A regular production worker would be supervising it to ensure nothing goes wrong. So the staff could focus on other parts of the production line for the changeover. The only issue was that it was tested only in several minute increments at a time over the span of a few months, and never from start to finish. I was trying to schedule a time where we could do the changeover full test run with a buffer in case something went wrong. Then an engineer proposed that we could do it during lunchtime. I asked him what would happen if something goes wrong, as the changeover process would take most of the lunchtime, assuming there were no issues. This would leave us very little time to fix something that went wrong. He said that wouldn't be an issue. I and two other technicians emailed our concerns about the plan for success only, but he pushed ahead anyway. Sure enough, one of the robotic arms went out of sequence and dropped a 100-pound component into an operating transfer mechanism. We had to manually flip the logic bits in the industrial control system to force the transfer mechanism into a position where we could retrieve the part using a forklift. There was just no safe way for a human to try to lift it. Of course, all of this took longer than the lunch period and held up production for some time. In the end, I was reprimanded for not warning the person enough about how bad of an idea it was to do that during lunchtime, even though the department management saw the emails. When I ended up working with that same engineer again, I made sure to ask for the confirmation 3 times in emails. I also explained something in at least 2 different ways. He tried to complain about me being excessive with written communication, but my supervisor told him to get lost. I hope next time this engineer gets reprimanded for it. Not warning enough sounds like a bad excuse from the management. What do you think? Comment down below. The next story is called 6,000 for a small fix. I work in IT. 4 years ago, as the last line of escalation for a managed service provider I worked for at the time, I got a ticket for an ERP program not working on a server we managed. I remote into the problem server and check the logs to see what's up, and there isn't anything that sticks out. After updating the ticket, I give the requester a call and ask to remote into his workstation to see the problem. I get the go-ahead to remote control his computer and see the error and what he was doing to get it. It's a database error that's easily fixed by an update that I have a script for. So no big problem. He tells the person in charge of this ERP in their office about what's going on. That person gets on the phone and starts yelling at me to leave it all alone and to call the vendor to have them look at it and fix it. I try to tell him that it's an easy fix and we've had to do it before due to a previous database update and it's fine. But no. He demands that the vendor is called and they need to fix it. I once again try to explain that I can knock this out in a few minutes and the vendor will charge because of the company not having the support plan. He doesn't care. So I say I sent him an email stating that any problems caused by the vendor while they're attempting to fix the issue will be billable if we need to get involved. He authorizes it and I connect the vendor and original ticket requester so they can hash it out and just stay on standby if they need anything. Because of the troubleshooting steps the vendor is apparently required to do, they end up being charged $900 to fix the issue. But they also end up bringing down some of the network due to an IP address change that wasn't authorized by us being done by the vendor tech. We bill $150 per hour and had to get the vendor back on to reinstall their ERP since it apparently couldn't handle the constant network changes. The total bill ended up being like $6,000 for this. My boss and the user company owner had a chat with me and I showed them the email chain and had the original requester back me up. All purchase requests over $1,000 had to go to the office manager for the client from then on. what do you think about today's video? Did you like it? If so, please hit the like button. And don't forget to comment down below. Even something like an emoji can help to grow the channel and reach more people. Thank you for watching this far, and now let's get to the next story. The third story is called Not Let Her Leave Before Shift Change is Done. Before I became a stay-at-home mom, I worked for a casual fast food chain as a cashier. I loved my job there, even if it put me through the ringer on occasion. I had been an evening cashier there, longer than any other cashier in that store. I knew the computer in and out. I knew closing lobby procedures like the back of my hand. I knew shift change. I knew how to help morning crew with lobby setup in the morning. I trained any cashier new to the store. This one cashier, however, had been a transfer from our store across town. I was told she knew what she was doing. Every day I would come in, see my store trashed, and then start my shift. She would promptly leave before doing anything. We had to fill our ice machine, clean tables, do a quick sweep and take out garbages, including bathroom, before shift change was considered done. Not hard, right? I talked to my boss about this. She told me to talk with the cashier. I did. She ignored me. I was told to then not let her leave until shift change was done. Okay, I would show up at 3:30 and nothing would be done. At our store it was usually slow enough to get tasks done between customers. When I switched to mornings later, I realized just how simple morning cashiering was in comparison to what I did every night. But for some reason, this cashier refused to do anything until I walked through the door. I started refusing to get on the drawer until I had completed every task shift change required. I would fill ice. I would take out garbages. I would wipe down tables, sweep floors, make sure my drink cooler was fully stocked. And that my drink station was completely clean and stocked before I would even suggest counting my drawer. One night, this particular cashier complained to me that she always had to leave an hour late whenever I came in to relieve her. I told her I wanted to be set up for my shift before I counted myself in. Then my boss pulled me aside and asked me why my morning cashier counterpart was always staying so late. They had to watch overtime and she was frequently getting more than necessary. She told me she had received a complaint about me taking my time before getting on the drawer so she could go home. I laughed. I told her shift change was done before I let her go home, just as my boss had told me to do. She would stand there and chat with co-workers and customers, or just groan and complain at me from across the room to hurry up. Did I mention there was a camera recording all of this? Apparently our patch manager was sending emails about unnecessary overtime to my general manager. And specifically called out morning cashiers, as my patch manager had actually run our store previous to my current general manager. The manager knew what it took to have a clean lobby when my shift starts, especially with sales being lower than when she worked there. When my manager realized that this cashier was literally sitting on her butt while I did double the work and was causing our patch manager to breath down her neck, she promptly had a talk with the said rowdy individual. Things got better, magically. I would come in and it wasn't perfect, but ice was usually filled and my drink station was cleaned and stocked. At least my lobby garbages were taken out before I got there. No more overtime or lazy cashier. I later got promoted up 2 ranks consecutively, managing entire shifts 6 months later. The patch manager took a liking to me, I guess. The last story is called On-Call Compliance. This story was told to me by the brother of the main character. He's a poker buddy. Let's call him Bob. He worked in a law office as one of 2 IT techs. The company had several branches, so there were a few dozen admin people in head office handling everything from billing to payroll to supplies. You get the idea. All the branches could access the central server and database. Bob's boss was the IT manager and he resigned to move to greener pastures. There was one other tech, but he was on and off the job due to health reasons. So when the IT manager quit, Bob was quite certain he would get the promotion. Guess again. They rolled his position under the office manager to save the budget for the IT manager's salary. Speaking of budgets, each time Bob performed a task, he would have to record it so that it could be internally billed to the correct department. The office manager had very little in the way of a clue on how to resolve even the simplest IT issues. For those of you who don't know, you need IT people like you need firemen. Not for a fire, but in case there is a fire. Bob had a vacation scheduled and the office manager was in a bind. If an issue popped up, he wouldn't be able to fix it. Bob said, "No problem, boss. I can handle things on an on-call basis. Just be sure to add roaming to my cell phone as I will be in Mexico." He put it into an email and cited the relevant on-call section of his contract. Since the office didn't cover more than one time zone and most staff were Monday to Friday 9 AM to 5 PM, the on-call issues were few and far between, averaging 1 or 2 a month, if that. Any issue at all required a service ticket for tracking, but after-hours on-call tickets were compensated at a minimum of 3 hours pay per issue. Most issues were pretty simple and usually PIB-CAC related. The emails from X-Client keep landing in my junk folder. We have a new customer and we need to whitelist their domain. How do I set up a filter in Outlook? So Bob set up his phone to say, "I'm on vacation, but still on call. If you have an urgent problem, please submit a service ticket." He did something similar with his away message for his email. Then Bob headed for the beach. Office dingbats can't tell the difference from an urgent issue and a routine one. So he was getting 5 or 6 tickets a day. He hotspotted his phone and remoted into their desktops, and in most cases was able to resolve the issue in minutes. When he got back, he submitted his timesheets, and HR went nuts. He was billing 12 to 15 to 18 hours a day. And managers of various departments were questioning why they were being hit for these tickets, when mundane issues like these were usually handled by Bob while he was on his regular salary. Bob simply showed them the email with his office manager's approval to run on an on-call basis and showed them the relevant section of the contract. Then they got the phone bill. The office manager never added roaming. So all voice calls were at international rates, and so was data. When asked why he didn't just use the hotel Wi-Fi, he replied, "It's corporate policy not to transfer sensitive information over an unsecured connection. And I have no idea if the hotel's connection was safe." All in all, Bob made enough on his vacation to cover the entire cost, and then some. By the end of each of the 2 weeks, he was fixing a ticket in 10 minutes and collecting 3 hours at double time for it. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more content. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye bye.